Hello everyone, and welcome back to another video. I'm the Gamer's Digester, and today we're going to be having a discussion. So I encourage you guys to join that discussion in the comments if this is something that you feel is important to you or you would like to chime in. A lot of people love having kind of back and forth conversations in my comments, and I really love to see that and help you guys have the opportunity to do so. So first things first, we've had probably about a month and a half now with hands-on with the Asus ROG Ally. If you were one of the ones who pre-ordered, you've definitely had your fair share of time with it now. And honestly, if you guys had to return your device, I'd love to hear why. That was definitely a big problem when I was first making videos about the Ally. A lot of people were just not happy because they had faulty devices. A ton of people who were seeking out the content were looking to see what the issues were with theirs and ended up just returning them at the Best Buy stores. So if you guys did have any issues, I'd love to hear what they were. Did you get another device? Did you return it? Just take your money and run? I'd love to hear that. I was very fortunate with my device. Mine was perfectly fine. I've had no issues as far as that. The only thing I did have an issue with was the Asus dock that you could purchase on Best Buy. Faulty devices all around, and you check the 1 stars. Of course the 1 stars are going to be that, but there was a lot more than I was expecting. So quality control definitely wasn't the greatest here. So that, I feel like, is a great segue into what I want to talk about for this video. Is what do you guys think they could have improved for this device? What would you be willing to sacrifice going forward? And I think I have some points here that hopefully will stimulate some of those neurons there. But honestly, I don't necessarily I love how lightweight this device is, and at the same time I don't. So coming from the Steam Deck, like a lot of us were, this is a pretty chunky device here. Like, this is pretty heavy, and I mean it feels like a quality premium product. And then when I go and feel this, it doesn't even kind of cross my mind that this costs more than this. You know what I mean? That I know that sounds very vague, but once you've actually held both devices in your hands, it's kind of easy to tell that it's not so much that this is a cheaper product, it's just there wasn't as much love put into the actual design. And for me, I would honestly prefer this to be the weight of this, if not more, and have better performance. So when I'm playing this, I'm sitting down in bed, I'm like holding this up against my face, like my hands still get tired, and it's not necessarily the fact that it should be lighter. I'm with this size of a device, I'm not entirely opposed to having it be heavier. Now, I'd love to hear if you guys think that that's kind of crazy talk or whatnot, but I feel like, and this does have a aftermarket case on here. I have an aftermarket back plate with a thermal pad that does increase the weight as well. And honestly, it just feels super premium. Like, it feels like a fantastic, solid product that you could probably throw and be fine with. And when I have this, it's kind of just light, not necessarily flimsy, but not a big fan of the trigger choices that they had. Not a big fan of a lot of things. The joysticks now, the more that I use them, they do feel good. They're almost nothing compared to how I like on the Steam Deck there. But good things that I feel like we can take away from this that I will not sacrifice going forward, unless for very specific reasons. This screen is phenomenal. If you guys are new to handheld gaming, let me warn you right off the bat, the viewing angles on this are atrocious. Now, you may feel that I'm kind of blowing that up a little bit. If you take this device and say if you turn it like this while you're playing, the entire screen goes gray. If you turn it up like that a little bit, it goes gray. To the side, the viewing angles were horrendous on this thing. The backlight bleed through mine, this entire top corner. If you ever had a screen kind of like this where it's a bit darker, that white would bleed through so bad. That was one of my biggest pet peeves. And this was the $700 version with the better screen, you know what I mean? So that was definitely not something that I was expecting, and I would definitely get rid of. So moving forward, if I'm going to be purchasing another handheld anytime soon, regardless of who it's from, if it's from Asus, bring it on. I'm fine with that. I'll take my chances again. I want to see the 120 hertz screen stay. I want to see FreeSync stay. I want to see 1080p stay. All that is such a nice combination of just the resolution with the frame rate. With even if it is a lower frame rate, you're still getting crisp image quality. Take something like Cyberpunk, for example. A game like this is not going to be touching those 110 FPS, but it still uses the FreeSync in order to have a nice, smooth quality image, which I can very much appreciate. I'll drive around here while I talk for a minute and try not to get too sidetracked. But yeah, this game was a very fun game to play through. I know that there's a lot of newer games coming out that a lot of people have questions if they're going to run and whatnot. I know Starfield is on a lot of people's minds. Honestly, if this can run Cyberpunk, if this can run Red Dead Redemption, and a lot of these other really big, high demanding games, I'll give you guys a little bit of warning. Don't expect it right out of the box to be running perfectly or whatever. I know that's kind of like goes without saying, but I know a lot of people here this is their only device. This is their only console. And they're going to purchase Starfield and think that right out of the box, it should just be this super smooth experience, when that can't really be the case. There's some optimizations that need to occur. There's a lot of stuff that needs to happen, and these lower end devices usually don't take a lot of, I guess, let me rephrase it like this. If the 4090, if they're having incredible FPS issues, they're going to fix that before they fix stuff for lower end. Because it kind of just works its way down the pipeline, right? Like if there's a major issue causing Starfield is making, or if you're playing Starfield with a 4090 and you're only getting 50 FPS at 1440p resolution, and it's caused by one issue, if they're able to fix that issue, that will resonate throughout all the other cards, hopefully, as it goes down. So they kind of just start working their way down, biggest to smallest, which honestly isn't a bad idea. So don't expect right off the bat your system to be tailored to, I guess. Now, there were some people online who looked at what Starfield had as far as specs-wise, and kind of took it apart as far as what specs were needed to play some more higher-end games, and compared that to Starfield on the Steam Deck. And the performance is going to be fairly bad. So until we get a Steam Deck mode like we've seen with Cyberpunk, don't expect anything really incredible out of Starfield. It may be 20 FPS, maybe 15. I'm kind of being a little bit generous there for right now. It could be very stuttery, loading things in and out. We just don't know yet. And the game will be so new and have probably, I mean, guys, if you've been here for any other Bethesda games, you know what I'm talking about, or just bigger games like Cyberpunk, Battlefield. You know these things take time. I'd honestly, like, as unfortunate as it is, if Starfield's launch is rough, give it 2 years. If you're on the fence about purchasing it, literally give it, like, on the dot, give it 2 years, and that is how long it took Battlefield to be fun. That's how long it took Cyberpunk to get a lot of these bugs out, to get a lot of optimizations in and enhancements in. It just takes time. As unfortunate as that is, and as sad as Fallout 76 was, it's honestly not like super bad. I'd rather play Fallout 4, but you just got to give these things a little bit of time. It's not going to happen overnight. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things with these games, a lot of moving pieces. So with that, I would love to see a performance increase. I know we kind of meandered off there a little bit. I knew as soon as I started playing, I'd go off track, but I'd love to see an increase in performance, but I know that sounds silly, right? You can't just keep increasing the performance without increasing the size, which goes back into what I was saying with, like, if you increase the performance, there's going to be more battery draw. So if you keep this same battery size, battery life is going to go down, which is bad. So you need to make it bigger, which some people could view as bad. Me personally, I don't mind. I could honestly, like, as long as it's not bordering on like the actual like insane, like, why am I, it's like, this is the size of a car battery, like, why am I hauling this around? I wouldn't mind, like, if they made something like this and had a portion of it come out and stick back so they could fit more juice in there, like, I would love that. I'm all for the unconventional. I love when designers take strange approaches to things. I'm not going to look at something like this and be like, oh my God, like it has to be super clean looking, whatever. Like I want performance. Like all of this is secondary to me. I'm not a super big fan of the white. There's a lot of design choices they made in here to make it look a certain way. You could throw that all to the wind. I would literally just play this if it was like a clear like case with like no fancy whatever. Like I don't need that, and I know a lot of you guys don't need that as well. So moving forward with handhelds as a whole, I would love to see them take a more performance-based approach to these handhelds instead of trying to fit the mold of what's came before, because we're never going to exceed the predecessors unless we kind of push the boundaries a little bit. And unfortunately that might mean, right, because when we have the Xbox 360 down to the slim, down to whatever, like we can keep getting smaller and smaller. But with these, that's not the case. With those, you have a power supply that you're plugging into the wall. I am very much okay, and I've made this a big point. I'm okay with keeping a power cord on me because most places I go have an outlet. But what I would prefer to see is a bigger device that has a massive built-in battery that I could play for 5-6 hours on. You know, like a nice AAA game like this. And I'd love to hear if you guys feel the same way about that. I know that that is something I'd be willing to pay for and compromise. And that's really what it comes down to when they're in the rooms kind of deciding, making these adjustments, whatever, you know what I mean, like designing these. They're probably figuring, well, what would piss people off? What do they want? What's a good compromise? For me, I would love to see what would like kind of piss normal people off, but is a plus, and just that turned into a handheld. I bet it would look super crazy, but perform incredibly well. And that's really what I'm here for at the end of the day. As long as it's not like incredibly fragile or made out of cheap plastic and whatnot, like I'm here for it, and I am totally supportive, and I'd love to see someone make that. But as it stands right now, pretty much every game developer, or not game developer, sorry, everyone who's designing these handhelds with whatever company, they're all kind of fitting this same like super similar, like really flat back. I mean, look at that. Look at that profile. Incredibly flat back. Like imagine they could mold the battery to kind of wrap into the joist or to the grips there. Like there's so many things that I could see them taking advantage of that they don't, to try to fit a form factor or to try to keep someone happy. And it's, for me, it's a little annoying, but that's a sacrifice I'd be willing to make. I know this video has been dragging on a little bit here, but I really do appreciate every single one of you guys. If you found this at least a little bit interesting, I'd really appreciate you guys to like, subscribe. The uploads have been slowing down a little bit. Now that we've had our hands on this, I don't feel like regurgitating the same content, you know what I mean? We've all experienced the issues. Things are getting better. We're on that 2-year mark so far with this, like, you know what I mean? But it's like 2 months. Like, we just needed to give them a little bit of time to figure things out. It wasn't going to happen overnight. And I'm very happy that a lot of you guys did wait instead of going straight to the store to return it. And that's not to say that you're wrong if you did that. If you had a faulty device, man, get rid of that thing. But if it was straight up like, oh, this one software thing is a little bit buggy. Asus, oh, they suck, whatever, like, take it back. I'm not a fanboy of either side. It's just, we got to be realistic here. And yes, there will be bugs. There are so many moving parts with a device like this that it just takes time. I might upload another video today. Kind of just depends on what information I can gather. But I really do appreciate every single one of you guys. I hope you had a fantastic weekend. I know it's Monday. It's going to suck, but we got to push through it here. Yeah, I really do appreciate all the support you guys have given me during me taking breaks here and there, but I really appreciate it. You guys have a fantastic rest of your week. Game on.